You are listening to the Objects of Affection collection. Study 154. France's fast fashion law, the state adopts post-luxury. Two numbers the state now measures when France's parliament finished work on law no. 2026-602, the ultra-fast fashion law passed by the Senate on 29 June 2026 and published on 9 July, commentary treated it as a tariff story. Paris versus Shein. The more consequential fact sits in the law's definitional machinery, and it has gone almost unremarked. To decide which producers fall under its penalties, the law uses two cumulative criteria: the volume of new product references a company pushes to market, and the ratio between a product's price and the cost of repairing it. Read those criteria again. The first measures overproduction. The second measures disposability, whether an object is priced to be kept alive or priced to be replaced. These are not bureaucratic conveniences. They are, in the plainest possible administrative language, the axes this institution's framework has used since its founding to distinguish the object economy from the spectacle economy. A state has now written into law that fashion is to be judged by how much of it is made, and whether its objects are worth repairing. The framework calls the failing condition the warranty of obsolescence, the object designed and priced for its own replacement. France has begun taxing it by name, if not by vocabulary. This study reads the French law, and its Italian counterpart applying this September, as the fourth act of the regulatory moment. After the EU's greenwashing ban polices what may be said, the destruction ban polices what may be discarded, and the product passport makes the object testify, the national laws now reach the deepest layer, the production model itself. Roman 2. What France's fast fashion law actually does. The law's machinery arrives in three waves. The transparency duties are already live. Since the law entered into force in mid-July 2026, online sellers of the targeted category must display environmental and social impact information, messages steering consumers toward reuse and repair, and notably, the manufacturing location shown beside the price in the same font size. The place of making, long buried in the sewn-in label's smallest type, becomes typographically equal to the number that replaced it. The second wave lands on 1 September 2026. The strengthened eco-contribution bonus-malus, administered through the Producer Responsibility Organisation Refashion. Ultra-fast fashion producers pay a penalty per product placed on the French market, 0.25 to €12 per item in 2026, escalating annually to 2 to €20 from 2030, capped at half the product's pre-tax price. The proceeds fund collection, sorting, repair and recycling infrastructure. It is a Pigouvian tax on velocity, the first fiscal instrument in a major market that prices the externality of the throwaway garment at the unit level. The third wave is the most radical and the least discussed. From 1 January 2027, advertising ultra-fast fashion is banned in France, and the ban extends explicitly to influencer marketing, sponsored gifts, product loans and paid invitations, with fines up to €100,000. The state is not merely taxing the product, it is unplugging the sign machine that sells it. An economy whose objects cannot survive without continuous promotional stimulus is about to run a controlled experiment in what happens when the stimulus is illegal. The framework has a term for value that exists only while advertising sustains it. After January, France will test whether that value exists at all. The law names its targets in everything but statute. The parliamentary debates and ministerial briefings identify Shein, Temu, and AliExpress as the addressees, while French officials signalled that European chains such as Zara and H&M fall outside the criteria as drawn. Shein told Reuters parts of the law appear inconsistent with the EU's digital commerce framework, and Beijing has threatened countermeasures. A garment tax has become trade policy, which is itself a measure of what is actually being regulated, not a product category but a production philosophy. Roman 3. Italy arrives the same September. Italy's instrument is quieter and broader. Legislative Decree No. 30 of 20 February 2026, in force since March, transposes the EU's Empowering Consumers Directive into the Consumer Code, and its prohibitions apply from 27 September 2026, the same day as the EU regime it implements. The decree writes precise legal definitions of environmental claim, generic environmental claim, and sustainability label into Italian law, blacklists the unsubstantiated eco-friendly, sustainable, green and climate neutral, bans offset-based neutrality claims outright, restricts sustainability labels to certified or public schemes, And beyond the EU floor, obliges sellers to disclose a repairability index and forbids the small mechanics of engineered obsolescence, from misleading durability messages to software updates that quietly degrade the product. Enforcement belongs to the antitrust authority, the AGCOM, with fines from €5,000 to 10 million, or up to 4% of Italian turnover for the gravest infringements, alongside civil actions open to competitors and consumer associations. The two peninsular anchors of European luxury manufacturing, the countries where the ateliers actually sit, will thus enter October under national greenwashing regimes with real teeth. For the masons, this is not a foreign compliance exercise. It is home market law, enforced by the authorities closest to their supply chains. Roman 4. The state adopts post-luxury set the two national laws beside the three European instruments this institution has documented through the summer, and the pattern stops looking like regulation and starts looking like a philosophy changing hands. Every axis these laws measure: volume, repairability, material disclosure. The gap between claim and substance, the dependence of value on advertising, is an axis on which the post-luxury framework has been scoring the industry for years. The state did not adopt the vocabulary. It adopted the metrics, which is the part that binds. This deserves to be said carefully, because the claim is structural, not congratulatory. Regulation is a lagging indicator. Laws of this kind become politically possible only after the cultural argument is substantially won, after enough of the public already believes that overproduction is a harm, that disposability is a defect, that unverifiable virtue is a fraud. The legislative wave of 2026 is downstream of a shift in what objects are believed to owe the people who buy them. The framework's wager has always been that this shift is not a trend but a correction, and that the institutions best positioned for it are the ones whose objects never depended on the machinery now being dismantled. The made-to-order practice with no overproduction to tax, the atelier whose repair economics are the point, the house whose provenance survives a font-size rule. For those institutions, the September laws are close to a subsidy. The bonus-malus penalizes their competitors' velocity while leaving their discipline untouched. The advertising ban silences the sign machine they never owned. The transparency duties publish distinctions they already embody. The state, pursuing consumer protection, has begun constructing the market conditions in which the honest object is structurally advantaged. That is the quiet meaning of 1 September, and it will compound each year as the penalty schedule escalates. Coda, the decree is the battleground. One honest caveat belongs in the record. The French law's definitional thresholds, how many references per year, what price-to-repair ratio, sit in an implementing decree still to be issued, and decrees are where ambitious laws go to be narrowed. The lobbying over those two numbers will be intense and largely invisible, and the difference between a law that reaches only Shane and one that reaches the fast half of European fashion lives entirely inside them. The same is true of Italy's enforcement appetite. The AGCOM first greenwashing docket, after 27 September, will tell the sector more than the decree's text did. But the direction survives either outcome. Two of Europe's three fashion states have now legislated within a single summer against volume, against disposability, against the unverifiable claim, and in France's case against the advertising of a whole production philosophy. The metrics are in the law. The dates are on the calendar. The era in which the industrial fashion system could treat its own operating model as beyond the reach of measurement ended this September. In Paris and Rome at the same time. This has been a study from the Objects of Affection collection, a critical art research institution operating under the framework of post-luxury conceptual functional art. Read the full research at objectsofaffectioncollection.com.